Hey guys, what's up? We are back. This is Pain User and I'm joined with HD.
What's up, guys?
And we got game 2 here between PuMa and Alicia. The map is going to be Shakur's Plateau. PuMa spawning as our red Terran in the bottom left-hand corner. And across the way, over yonder, his opponent, the blue Protoss, Alicia, is going to be setting up on the eastern side of the map.
Yeah, and Alicia, remember guys, in the round of 64, he took out the SEC with that same build that he just did to PuMa in the first game, and the same map too. Very, very all-in-ish. We talked about this before. We'll elaborate a little bit more as this cast continues, but he all-in with the 7-gate against the STC. Then he did that Immortal 3-gate push on 2 base and 1. Then he just did the same thing against PuMa in the first game of the series. And here we are in Shakur's Plateau. I want to talk to you more about that build, Pain User. You said you think it's all-in, but it's also a 2-base all-in. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
I mean, it's. I was trying to classify just exactly what the build was, and to me, it seems like you might as well just pull several of them. Well, no, actually, I was gonna say, why not just pull your probes? But
I don't think that works.
No, it doesn't work for Protoss at all. They don't have enough hit points, and you have the offensive pylons, so you can continue to warp in units. So there's just no point in actually sending your mining units. But you might like that. That's how all in it is, because if you lose that army as a Protoss player, and you don't have Colossus tech right around the corner, you're absolutely done. The Terran's teching to Medivacs. He's getting combat shield stim +1. I mean, you just can't deal with that without some form of higher tech, and you're so far behind on your infrastructure as a Protoss player. So there's really no returning from that.
So do you feel like then that build would be better if the Protoss player forewent the expansion or foregone the expansion and just added on more gates?
Off of 1 base? I don't know, though. No, I don't. Because then the Terran player is going to know something fishy's up if you never drop that natural Nexus. Getting the Nexus is part of the illusion, in a way. Because if you don't ever take your natural and he scans and you don't have a Nexus there, he's just going to overcompensate and prepare and just be 100% ready for anything that you can throw at him. Keep that second orbital up and just run away with it.
Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that build. Do you feel? I feel like that Nexus also kind of helps, because sometimes in these all-in situations you do a ton of damage and you lose your army, but you do enough to the point where you can actually reset the game, and I think that's where that Nexus can actually come as like a plan B in case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, it certainly serves that purpose. If you do a ton of damage and you both kind of trade even, and then you come out of it and you have your second Nexus, that's obviously a great thing. Now, we do have PuMa getting a very early factory here, so I think we might see a Banshee opener out of him. He does have double gas, and this is actually really interesting. We haven't seen this for quite some time. Starport does come down immediately after the factory. We'll have to see if he gets a tech lab here, and he does.
Yeah, I think you're right, absolutely. I mean, the position of the factory already kind of gave it away too. It's all the way to the right. It's going to help that starport route, and we are going to have a very fast Banshee here opening against the Protoss player. Do you think he's going to invest in Cloak?
That's a good question. I don't know. We'll have to see. I would assume yes, just based on how much gas he's accumulated so far. I definitely think he's going to get Cloak. And if he wasn't going to get Cloak, maybe a 1-gas version of this build would have been something that we could see, but I don't know. But I do think he's going to get it and probably expand behind this Banshee, try and get some harass done, and then take it from there.
And there's the Cloak coming up right now, going in first before the Banshee, and that's actually really smart because the Cloak takes much longer than a Banshee does. He's actually supply blocked, but he's going to clear that out to get that Banshee out. And is there a robotics facility coming? There is, and that's great for Alicia. He will not get caught off guard without detection, and he should have an observer in play to deal with the Cloak.
Ooh, and Alicia running by to check for the command center. Does not see it, and he might actually get up the ramp into the main.
Wow.
I think so. That's thank goodness. Still, though, the scouting information obtained by Alicia right there is very, very important. He knows that the command center's not there on the low ground. It could be up in the main somewhere, or perhaps floating over, but more often than not, players will drop it on the low ground on this map just because it's so safe and it's so easy to just get your defenses up and running at the choke there at the natural. So Let's see where he goes from here.
Yeah, so Alicia, seeing that, might have bead on the potential Banshee coming in. Even if he doesn't, he has an Observer coming on. In fact, making 2 Observers here.
I think he knows.
And the Banshee is making its way in. It is timed with Cloak, but there's a Stalker and an Observer ready to go. He's going to need another Stalker here. He warps in a second one, so he should be A-okay against the Banshee. The Banshee doing a little bit of damage here, but, you know, just picking and taking a few pot shots here and there, but nothing too serious.
Yeah, the Banshee's certainly not paying for itself or that Cloak investment. We actually have a Raven follow-up here.
Oh, wow.
And Siege Tank's coming as well, so this is going to be a huge all-in here from PuMa. PuMa, the master of the one-base all-in versus Protoss. Definitely one of his favorite builds. He uses it time and time again, and he has so many different versions of it. You never really know what he's going to throw at you, and this is certainly one version of it that is less commonly used. I mean, usually you will see that 1/1/1 opener with maybe a second Rax, and it comes much earlier. This is going to come later for PuMa, but it's going to hit very, very hard. He has the added Raven. He's going to have additional Banshees. Doesn't want to lose that Banshee, though.
Nope.
Would love to recycle that and use it for the eventual push when he does make his move on the natural.
Yeah, and I love how he went in with that Banshee and picked off a sentry as well. I mean, every sentry here is absolutely critical against this all-in from the Terran player. We've seen the 1/1 all-in. It gets stopped by Colossus and sentry, and that sentry number just got cut down a little bit, although Alicia is making a Colossus. But you made a great point, man. This is not a 1/1/1. It's like a 3/1/1. He's going to have so many Marines.
Yeah, it's going to come later, but it's going to hit real hard.
Yeah.
It's going to have insane amounts of units.
Yeah, this could be pretty devastating. The Observer is in a great spot, though, and he's going to just now get a bead on everything that's coming for him. Seeing the tanks and the Banshees already should tell him right away that it is an all-in. He's going to need that Colossus range. He's going to need his force fields. And he's going to have to micro perfectly to hold this off.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised he's not actually trying to move out on the map and engage PuMa somewhere in the midfield. It looks like he's just going to sit back, but he's conceding so much territory to PuMa right now. If PuMa is allowed to set up shop outside of the natural, that's going to spell disaster for Alicia. Alicia, this situation's so urgent. He has to be out there, and he's got to force those tanks to siege and unsiege multiple times
To buy time.
as they work their way up to the natural, to buy time to get those extra units. He's just not doing that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. And I think PuMa was expecting the units to be here. And that's why he sieged up in the middle of the map at first. And now he's like, well, what are the units? There's really nothing here. So I guess I get map control. And I'm going to continue to flood in more units and just make this punch even more powerful. And hey, he comes around the backside with 2 Banshees. And he's going to do a ton of damage. 15 kills on that Banshee alone. 19 workers have gone down. And right now, Alicia has no answer for the Banshees. All of his forces anticipating the all-in. He did not, and he did not expect the Banshees to come through.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So much damage dealt right there to Alicia. And PuMa, one of those players that's just so abusive and so good with Banshees. He flashes the first Banshee at the main, does no damage. Flashes another Banshee at the natural, picks off a sentry, maybe another probe. Backs off. Comes back with both Banshees after waiting a considerable amount of time. Then goes into the main, waits for his opportunity. And that's one thing I really love about PuMa. He's just super patient with his Banshees, and he really knows how to find an opportunity, and he doesn't get too greedy. He rarely loses them, which is the important thing. So, able to recycle both those Banshees, get it back in, and they're just doing work.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why Alicia isn't just leaving 3 Stalkers back here.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And he's continuing to take more and more damage. Now, here comes that Terran army. The SCVs are in tow. They're set on auto-repair. Colossus in the front, though, and they do have range. And range from Colossus does beat out Siege Tank range. The Comsat has gone down. But he's at a choke right now, and that's not good for Alicia. Everything will get shelled at that choke point. And you were mentioning this before. If PuMa sets up outside the natural, it's going to be very hard for Alicia.
Yeah, it's a real tough position to take back, that's for sure. Especially when his mining has been, his economy's been stifled so many times this game already. It will continue to do so if he takes his natural position.
Oh!
PuMa losing quite a few SCVs there, but a lot of fire is shelled out for those Colossus, and now he's trying to pick up that Immortal, but now he's using the Banshees just in range of those stalkers to pick off units, using the siege tanks to cover the Banshee. So smart from PuMa here is really impressive.
Oh, and he could lose the Colossus here, unable to micro his army in 2 separate groups. It's very difficult to do, and you can see Alicia made a mistake right there. He put the Colossus too far forward, they took the shot from the Banshee. One went down, and he is going to evacuate the Natural and just give it up to the Terran. It's a very, very bad position for PuMa right now. So it's still 1 base versus 1 base if he loses his Nexus, and he still has his army alive, but he is just getting pinned back into his own home. He's got to deal with these Banshees, and the PDD goes down, so the Stalkers can't even kill off the Banshee because the PDD blocks every shot from the Stalkers.
Wow. Yeah, maybe throwing down a single Stargate and getting a few Phoenixes is a worthy investment for Alicia, I feel certain. Because now he's just going to roll over, and there's almost enough Banshees to just outright overrun him at this point. I mean, the Stalker and Banshee numbers are almost equal at this point.
Yeah, and he did actually have a Starport, but it just got unpowered, and this is looking extremely bleak for Alicia. He did sneak out a Warp Prism, though. We might have some kind of a counterattack on our hands from Alicia, and he still has 1 Colossus alive. That Colossus is so essential here in order to outrange the tanks, but his Stalker number is very, very dismal right now, and he didn't even have enough Gateway production to warp at anything, so the Warp Prism is absolutely worthless. The tanks are set up in a very nice line. The Marines are going to town right now. They're breaking down the gateways. The Stargate is unpowered. The Cybernetics Core and the Robotics Facility have gone down as well, and Alicia is on the verge of losing the 2nd game here against PuMa. PuMa is going to work, and he's killed off the last Colossus. His Marines are all in full healthy numbers, and that is going to be game.
Wow. Well, you know, not much to be said at this point. There's the GG from Alicia. And PuMa, you know, I mentioned this. He is a player who's very familiar with this build. Multiple different styles of it. He has a lot of different looks that he can throw at you. Little nuances, little changes to the build. But just all in all, very, very good at executing the 1 base all-in against Protoss. Has a lot of experience doing so, and I think that might also help reflect his statistics in the TVP matchup, because he's so good at the all-in. I feel like he beats a lot of players with it, and I don't think that most Protoss players have the experience of dealing with somebody who's that good at the 1 base all-in.
Maybe buffering like a good 10% of his win rate.
Maybe. I mean, I've seen him win so many games with the 1 base all-in. It's ridiculous. It's his go-to in a lot of situations.
All right. Well, that is game number 2, and it is now tied up. So PuMa returns the all-in with an all-in of his own, and we'll see what happens in game 3. Stay tuned, guys. And this is IGNProLeague signing out.